I never thought my best friend was sleeping with my wife until an Instagram post revealed everything. What I didn't know was that betrayal was just the beginning of a cascade of horrifying secrets that would strip bare everything I once believed. It was a dreary Friday evening in Portland. Neon lights from the craft beer bar splattered across the wet sidewalk, creating shimmering tear-like puddles. Javier sat alone in my apartment, my half-empty IPA beside me, scrolling aimlessly through Instagram, trying to shake off the exhaustion of a long, grueling work week. I just survived a week of back-to-back deadlines at my tech startup, and all I wanted was a moment of peace before diving into the whirlwind of a new project on Monday. Then a photo popped up on my screen like a sharp blade piercing my heart, making my blood run cold, every vein tightening. It was a shot taken at a lively music festival in Seattle where thousands of people were immersed in the music and lights. A couple embraced tightly under the stage lights, their smiles radiant and content as if they were the center of the universe. The man with his curly hair and a physique so familiar down to every detail was Ryan, my best friend, the brother I trusted more than myself, the person I once thought would stand by me until the end of my life. The woman with her golden hair and a smile that once captivated me was Elena, my wife. And I, Javier the fool, sitting here hundreds of miles away, believing they were just on a business trip together, busy with an important advertising project. I was so blind I never suspected a thing, never saw a single anomaly. If you're hearing this story, chances are you've also been stabbed in the back by the people you trusted most, the ones you'd readily put your life in their hands. That fateful photo didn't just destroy my marriage. It ripped open the fake curtain of happiness I had been living behind for so long. It dragged me into a painful and harsh journey from the vibrant but deceitful streets of Portland to the cutthroat tech startup world in Seattle. This is a story of how I lost my wife, lost my best friend, and lost all faith in humanity, only to find amidst the rubble a stronger, more resilient version of myself. It's a story about truth, about forgiveness, and about how life always has the most unexpected paths to lead us back to ourselves. Pour yourself a beer. Sit down and let me tell you from the beginning, from the days I thought I had everything to, when I realized it was all just a meticulously staged play, a symphony of deception composed by the very people I loved most. Our life in Portland, Oregon seemed like a perfect picture, a modern American dream. Our sleek apartment in the Alberta Arts District, where the rich aroma of roasted coffee from hipster cafes mingled with the whirring sound of bicycles on the sidewalks, created a tranquil, artistic, and dynamic rhythm of life. Elena was a talented digital marketer, always busy with big advertising campaigns, her phone constantly lit up with emails and calls. She was the epitome of an independent, intelligent woman, and I was proud of that. As for me, I worked at a rising tech startup developing an ambitious music app called Harmonic Echo, dreaming of the day my product would top the App Store, changing how people enjoyed melodies. We met at a craft beer bar, typical Portland, a noisy yet cozy place. She accidentally spilled her beer on my brand new shirt and laughed apologetically, her eyes sparkling like golden beer drops. I was drawn to that smile, to the confident and graceful way she spoke. Just a year later, we got married with a cozy outdoor party at a local beer garden, IPA flowing like a river and the music of the Lumineers playing, telling our love story. Our marriage from the outside wasn't perfect, but I thought it was solid, like an old oak tree deeply rooted in the earth. We argued over small things, like who forgot to make a reservation for our romantic Friday dinner or why I was so obsessed with work until late, neglecting her, but I always believed we'd overcome it. We were a team, a family, an inseparable unit. Ryan, my best friend, was an indispensable part of that happy picture. He was my colleague at the startup, a talented developer with a sharp mind and a mischievous sense of humor, always knowing how to make everyone laugh. Ryan often came over drinking beer and playing board games with us. He was the person I called when I needed advice on complex code, the person I trusted more than my own brother. He was my rock, the one who shared all my joys and sorrows. I often confided in him about the pressures of work, about the small conflicts with Elena, and he always listened, offering sincere, insightful advice. I trusted him so much that I would casually tell him about my troubles, the things I was trying to work out in my marriage, even my deepest worries about the future. I was so naive and trusting, completely unaware that every confession, every worry I shared was like seeds sown in the fertile ground of betrayal to sprout into dark schemes. He knew my weaknesses, the cracks in my marriage, and more importantly, he knew what Elena was craving. The attention, the listening ear that I had unintentionally overlooked. Our life flowed on, calm and happy, at least on the surface. I believed everything was perfect, but then, like a tune slowly losing its rhythm, unusual signs began to appear. At first, just subtle, hard-to-notice low notes, then gradually becoming invisible cracks in the solid wall. Elena started traveling more for work, often with Ryan, because they were working on the same important advertising project for a big client in Seattle. I didn't suspect a thing, as I trusted them both implicitly. They were colleagues, close friends. However, Elena gradually became distant. She talked less about work, touched me less, and her phone was always locked face down whenever I came near. Ryan also changed, avoiding eye contact when we drank beer and often made awkward gestures when Elena was present. I reassured myself, thinking it was just work pressure, that they were tired and needed space. I was blind until that fateful night when an Instagram post shattered everything, pulling me out of my own illusion, exposing a raw, chilling truth to the core. From that moment, everything I once believed in vanished into thin air, dragging me into an endless nightmare. I sat there in my familiar room, the smell of stale beer and cold pizza lingering in the air. My hand trembled as I held my phone, the eerie blue light from the screen casting shadows on my distraught face. The Instagram photo posted from an old colleague of Elena's with a short but devastating caption. "Amazing night out in Seattle." I zoomed in on the picture, every detail becoming painfully clear, hitting me like hammer blows. Elena and Ryan stood side by side, not with the closeness of colleagues, but the intimacy of lovers. Their hands were intertwined, their heads resting on each other's shoulders, and their smiles were radiant content, as if I didn't exist in this world. There was no doubt. It wasn't a casual or friendly moment, it was love. It was blatant betrayal exposed under the glaring stage lights. I immediately checked Elena and Ryan's other posts. The more I scrolled, the more I felt like I was sinking into a bottomless pit of lies. Photos of them together in romantic places Elena had claimed were solo business trips, suggestive comments under every picture, flirtatious remarks hidden behind innocent emojis. I felt like the biggest fool in the world, a pathetic clown led by the nose by the very people I loved and trusted most. A furious rage erupted, scorching every cell in my body, turning me into an inferno. I didn't wait. I waited for Elena to return the next morning. She walked into the apartment, tired but still attempting her familiar smile. That smile now was nothing but a sickening facade to me. I pointed my finger directly at my phone screen, where the photo remained undeniable proof. "Explain?" I said, my voice terrifyingly cold, but inside it was like a volcano rumbling, ready to erupt. She didn't deny it, didn't try to make excuses. The smile vanished from her lips, her face paled, her eyes red-rimmed. "I'm sorry, Javier," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks, but I felt no pity. I didn't mean for things to go this far, didn't mean to. And yet they had gone this far. Just a few hours later, Ryan arrived, his face filled with feigned remorse, but his eyes still betrayed contempt. He tried to explain, tried to find excuses for his vile actions, but I didn't want to hear anything more. "Get out of my life! Get out of this apartment!" I screamed, the words bursting from the depths of my pain from absolute disgust. And that was the last time I saw him. The ghost of a dead friendship. The divorce was quick but painful and lingering like an unhealing wound, gnawing at my soul every day. I couldn't stay in Portland, where every street corner, every cafe, every road reminded me of Elena and Ryan, of broken promises and shattered dreams. Everything I had once believed in crumbled. I quit my job, hastily packed my belongings, taking only my old camera, my only remaining companion, and the despair that gnawed at my heart. I drove to Seattle, where I heard the tech startup community was booming, a place where I hoped to find a new beginning, a rebirth. I didn't know what I was looking for, a new job, a new life, or simply a place to forget the pain and bury the past in oblivion. Leaving the wreckage behind, I threw myself into a new city, hoping to find a fresh start. But even in this strange place, challenges and unexpected truths still awaited me. Seattle welcomed me with persistent drizzles and the distinctive scent of Starbucks coffee, a reminder that no matter where I went, the world kept moving. I rented a small but functional apartment in Capitol Hill, a vibrant neighborhood with lively bars and startup offices lit up all night. I found a job at Soundwave, a promising startup developing a music streaming app. The work was new, but the pressure was immense. Everyone here was fiercely competitive to prove themselves, and I, a man who had just lost everything, felt like I was drowning, sinking deeper into a sea of loneliness and distrust. At Soundwave, I met Maya, a 38-year-old product director. Maya was the kind of person who commanded attention at first sight. Short, distinctive hair, a sharp but experienced voice, and a strong, confident style, always exuding power with her leather jackets. She had been through a painful divorce and wasn't afraid to talk about it as a part of her life, a scar she carried with pride. "Divorce is a punch to the gut, Javier," she said during a post-work beer, her eyes looking at me with understanding, "but it taught me to stand up stronger, to know my own worth. What matters is how you face it." I had never told anyone about Elena and Ryan, but Maya had a way of getting me to open up naturally and genuinely without any coercion. Javier, she said, looking at me over her beer, you need to find that fire in you again, that passionate flame that once burned so brightly. Don't let the pain extinguish it. I was startled to hear my name. I had introduced myself in a general meeting, but the way she said my name, the way she looked at me, made me feel seen, understood, not just a mere colleague. Maya pulled me into an exciting side project, a new app that allowed users to create music playlists based on their emotions and connect them with people who shared similar moods. The idea was like a breath of fresh air blowing into my barren soul. I started working with her, spending hours writing code, designing interfaces, and shooting promotional videos. Gradually, I felt my passion for work return, the creative fire reigniting within me, illuminating the path I was on. But Seattle wasn't paradise. I still faced prejudice. Some colleagues thought I was too emotional because of my divorce story, and a few others were overtly jealous because I received special attention from Maya. I felt like I was still in another battlefield where I had to constantly fight to prove myself, not just to others but to myself. As I was slowly finding my rhythm again, an unexpected call from the past pulled me back into the nightmare. I had no idea that Ryan's betrayal went deeper than I thought, affecting not only Elena but also my own dream. Late one evening, as I was editing a promotional video for the Mood Mix project in my apartment, with the rain still pouring outside, my phone vibrated. It was Laura, an old colleague from Portland whom I rarely contacted after I left. Laura's voice on the phone was urgent and anxious, as if she carried an unbearable burden. Javier, she said, I need to see you. There's something about Ryan and Elena, something important. It involves you too. I hesitated, but a premonition of something bad kept urging me on. We agreed to meet at a familiar cafe in Seattle the next morning. Laura appeared with a haggard face, her eyes dark-rimmed as if she had just gone through a long sleepless night. She ordered a strong black coffee and began her story slowly, as if weighing every word. And then she revealed a secret that stunned me, a direct punch to the face, making me feel as if I had just been stripped naked. Before all the lies, Ryan not only cheated with Elena, but he also blatantly exploited his relationship with me to advance his career. Javier, do you remember the harmonic echo project that you spent a whole year developing? Laura asked, her eyes full of sympathy. Ryan stole that idea. He convinced the boss that it was his idea and used his relationship with Elena, who he knew could access big advertising partners, to secure the initial investment contract. That contract should have been yours, your hard work. He didn't just destroy your family, he stole your hard work, he stole your dream. Laura's words were like 1,000 knives stabbing my heart. I felt like I had just been stabbed again, deeper and more painfully than any previous wound. Ryan didn't just steal my wife. He also stole my dream, my hard work, and my trust. He was a two-faced traitor, a devil in a friend's disguise. I wanted to scream, wanted to rush back to Portland immediately to confront him, to tear off his mask in front of everyone. But Laura stopped me in time, her eyes full of experience and wisdom. Don't let him drag you down anymore, Javier. Don't let him win by breaking you. Do something bigger, something he can never achieve. Rebuild your career, rebuild your life in a more brilliant way. Her words, though simple, touched the deepest part of me. They made me think, made me realize I couldn't keep drowning in anger and sorrow. I needed to stand up, not for revenge, but to prove my worth. I decided to focus all my energy and dedication on the Mood Mix project with Maya. I made it my sole goal, a brilliant success, to prove that I wasn't defeated, that I wasn't a failure. I would show Ryan and show Elena that no matter what they did, I would still rise stronger and far more successful. But the path to success is never easy. I had to fight relentlessly, not only against fierce competition, but also against the doubts gnawing at my soul. The pressure at Soundwave grew, especially as our Mood Mix project began to attract significant attention. We were invited to one of Seattle's biggest startup conferences, where hundreds of investors and venture capitalists were looking for the next groundbreaking idea. It was a golden opportunity for Mood Mix to take off, for me to prove myself. However, as the pressure grew, internal conflicts arose. Ethan, another developer on the team, a young man full of ambition but also arrogant and selfish, seemed to dislike me from the start. He constantly tried to undermine me, stabbing me in the back, and frequently criticized my code harshly with no regard for anyone. Javier, you're slowing down the whole team, he stated bluntly in a team meeting, his tone full of contempt. Your code is buggy and your ideas are too far-fetched. I boiled with anger, wanting to snap back, wanting to prove that I was capable, that I deserved everything I had. But Maya cut him off in time, her voice firm and authoritative. Ethan, if you don't see Javier's value, that's your problem. Javier is contributing things you can't see with your limited perspective. He brings the creativity and passion we need. The conflict with Ethan made me doubt myself, and old scars in my heart ached again. I wondered, was I really as talented as I thought or just lucky? Were Elena and Ryan's words true? But Maya wouldn't let me falter. She pulled me aside, telling me about times she had been betrayed at work, times she had been belittled by others, and how she overcame it by focusing absolutely on her goals. Javier, you don't have to please everyone. You just need to be true to yourself, true to what you believe. They want to see you fall, but you have to stand up and show them how strong you are. Her words were like a spiritual medicine, helping me regain my calm and determination. I was determined to complete Mood Mix as perfectly as possible, making it my life's work. I worked tirelessly, pouring my heart and soul into every line of code, every tiny detail of the app. And when we presented Mood Mix at the startup conference, our app received an investment offer from a large company, a success far beyond expectations. Ethan stood there silent, his face expressionless, but his eyes told me I had won, not because I was superior to him in skill or intellect, but because I didn't give up. I turned my pain into motivation to rise. It was a sweet victory, a victory of will and self-belief. Right after the resounding success of the conference, as I was basking in joy and relief, a figure from the past reappeared, pulling me back to wounds I thought had healed. This confrontation not only brought torment, but also revealed a surprising truth, forcing me to look back at myself. I received an email from Elena. She wrote that she was in Seattle working for a large advertising firm and wanted to meet to talk. I hesitated. After all that had happened, could I face her? Was I strong enough to hear more lies or hollow apologies? But in the end, curiosity and a faint desire for complete answers prompted me to agree. I needed closure for this chapter of my life. We agreed to meet at a small bar in Pike Place Market where the smell of fresh fish and flowers mingled, creating a distinctive Seattle atmosphere. When Elena walked in, she was still as beautiful as the day I fell in love with her, her golden hair and the smile that once captivated me. But her eyes now no longer sparkled with carefree innocence, but were filled with remorse and weariness, as if she had carried an invisible burden all this time. She told me that she and Ryan had broken up after a short time, that their relationship went nowhere, only torment and guilt. And then she revealed a secret that stunned me, a twist I never anticipated. It didn't excuse her actions, but it opened up another perspective on myself. She cheated not just because of Ryan, but also because she felt I didn't need her, felt I no longer cared about her. Javier, she said, her voice choked with tears streaming down her cheeks. I know I was wrong. I betrayed you. But do you know how lonely I was? You were always busy with work, with your projects. You lived in your own world, Javier. I thought I no longer mattered to you, that I was just a tiny part of your life. I felt lonely, lost even in our own home, even when you were there. That twist made me look back at myself, at the months I had been immersed in work, the times I prioritized deadlines over a date, the times I forgot to call back simply because I was too engrossed in lines of code. I realized that although I didn't physically betray her, I had betrayed her with my indifference by putting my passion above everything else, including my partner's feelings. I had unintentionally pushed her away, creating a void that someone else could step into. I didn't forgive Elena immediately. The wound was still too deep. But I understood. I understood that both of us were to blame for the collapse of this marriage. Elena apologized to me once more with a more sincere voice than ever, but I knew we couldn't go back. Everything was too shattered, too deep to be mended. I left the bar feeling much lighter, as if a burden had been lifted, but also aching from the belated realization of my own mistakes. A week after the emotional meeting with Elena, as I was trying to piece together the chaotic memories and emotions, my phone vibrated again. It was a message from Ryan. He said he wanted to meet me, wanted to sincerely apologize, and suggested we meet in Portland. I didn't want to go, didn't want to face the person who had ruined my life. But Maya, with her wisdom and strength, convinced me. Javier, face him. Not for him, but for you. So you can truly close the past, so you can be completely free. I drove back to Portland, back to the city of painful memories, where I had once believed happiness was eternal. I met Ryan at the very bar where we used to drink beer, where our most intimate stories were once shared, where our friendship began and ended. He looked haggard, his face gaunt, his eyes dark-rimmed like someone who had just been through hell. He bowed his head, admitting all his mistakes, admitting he was wrong to betray me, to exploit me. But then he looked up, his eyes filled with torment, and revealed a secret that stunned me, a final twist painful to the core. But the key to truly understanding everything, to understanding the root of the tragedy. Javier, Ryan said, his voice hoarse as if every word was squeezed from his chest. There was a time about a year before everything fell apart. You were drunk at a company party. You confided in me that you weren't sure you loved Elena, that you were with her only out of habit, for comfort, because you were afraid of being lonely. You said you wanted a different life, a life unbound by boring relationships, by obligations. You said you wanted the freedom to pursue your harmonic echo dream without being tied down. He paused, took a deep breath as if pouring everything out of his chest. I used those very words of yours to convince Elena that you didn't deserve her, that you didn't truly love her. I told her I would give her what you couldn't, attention, care, and a love she deserved. That secret was like a punch to my gut, an electric shock running down my spine, freezing me. I realized that not only Elena and Ryan were to blame, but I also contributed significantly to the collapse of this marriage. Not just because I was too busy, but because I hadn't been honest with my own feelings with the woman I married. I had lived an unconscious life, unknowingly creating the cracks that Ryan had fully exploited. I didn't forgive Ryan, never will. I couldn't forgive his betrayal and exploitation. But I thanked him in a strange way for helping me see myself clearly, to see the mistakes I had ignored, the truths I had lied to myself about. I left Portland again, this time not with anger or overwhelming sorrow, but with a profound self-awareness and a determination to change. Not for Elena or Ryan, but for myself, for a Javier who deserved true happiness, a happiness built on honesty. After all the storms, the Summer Music Festival in Seattle finally arrived, bringing with it dazzling outdoor stages under the golden sun, the delicious smell of grilled burgers everywhere, and the echoing sound of electric guitars throughout the space. This was the moment we launched Moodmix to the public, the moment I had been waiting for. Maya and I stood at our booth watching users try the app, eagerly creating playlists and connecting with each other through music. Seeing their smiles, their satisfied nods, I felt proud, a genuine pride I had never experienced before. Maya stood beside me, hugging me tightly, saying, "Javier, you did it. You didn't just survive what happened, you are truly living, Javier. You found your fire again." Her words were as warm as the late summer sun, warming my heart. I returned to Astoria, a coastal town in Oregon, where I used to stand looking at the vast ocean as a child, where I found peace whenever I faced storms. This time I no longer felt lonely. I stood on the beach, breathing in the salty sea breeze, watching the waves crash against the shore and break just like the difficulties in my life. And then I wrote an Instagram post, not to boast or complain, but to say goodbye to the past, to close a painful chapter. "Thank you, pain," I wrote, "for teaching me how to stand up. Thank you, secrets, for opening the door to a more truthful life. I have found myself, and I will never lose myself again." The post received hundreds of likes and supportive comments, but most importantly, I felt free, a true freedom in my soul, no longer bound by anger or regret. After all I've been through, the Javier of today is not the Javier of yesterday. I've learned to turn my scars into strength, my pain into motivation. Now I confidently walk my own path with a healed heart and a reborn spirit. I'm still in Seattle, still working at Soundwave and continuing to develop Moodmix. Our app has been a resounding success, used by millions of people worldwide to connect through music. My YouTube channel, Seattle Sounds, has become a place where I share not only stories about startups or music, but also my journey of overcoming pain and finding myself again. The channel has attracted thousands of followers, not because I'm famous, but because the stories I tell have touched their hearts, giving them hope. Every comment from this audience, like "Thank you for giving me hope" or "Your story helped me overcome my own pain," is an invaluable gift, a motivation for me to continue sharing and living a full, honest life. I no longer keep any mementos from my old marriage or from the friendship that betrayed me. All I keep is a special playlist on Moodmix with songs by Fleetwood Mac, the Lumineers, and even some sad tunes, reminding me of days gone by, of lessons learned, of scars healed, and of the path I have traveled. Every time I walk through the vibrant streets of Seattle, hearing music from a bar somewhere, I smile, knowing that I have found my true home. Not in a woman, not in a specific city, but in my own heart. I have reunited with the real Javier, a more complete, stronger, and more peaceful Javier. A Javier who has learned to love himself with all his scars and experiences. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll fall in love again, maybe not. But I know one thing: this Javier who is telling you this story has learned to love himself, learned to accept all his flaws, learned to live truthfully, and learned to turn pain into strength. And that's enough. This journey has taught me that happiness is not a destination, but the journey of finding and accepting yourself with all the ups and downs, all the heartache, and all the unexpected joys. Love intensely while you can, but also have the courage to stop if being together is just an exhausting role, a burden that crushes both souls. Javier's journey, a journey full of tears, unexpected twists, and ultimately liberation, is a profound reminder that truth, no matter how painful, is the only path to genuine healing and peace. Sometimes the exposure of a secret is life's way of giving us an opportunity to confront the past, accept it, and move forward. If you find yourself stuck in secrets and lies, or if you're seeking a way out of your own pain, I hope this story touches your heart. Remember, you deserve a life built on honesty and courage. You deserve true peace, a peace that comes from facing everything. The path to healing can be long and challenging, but it is absolutely worth it. If this story has sparked thoughts, emotions, or you have a similar experience, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Every share is an act of empathy, helping us feel less alone on this journey on the path to finding happiness and truth. Don't forget to like this story, share it with anyone you think might need to hear this message. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next profound stories, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with my latest videos. Thanks for listening. See you in the next videos.